Today we're going to be training and performing bailouts. The Guardian Simulator allows us to perform the most realistic training possible. This is never more important than when training on bailout techniques. When performing a bailout, it is vital to make it as realistic as possible. Bailouts are a matter of life and death and should be treated as such. Many training videos show bailouts using props that are close to the ground and in ideal conditions. This can never be farther from reality when you're actually involved in structural firefighting. The Guardian Safety and Survival Simulator allows us to create the most realistic training possible. This is due to the fact that our window is the actual height of a two-story window. Our ladder is placed appropriately at the correct climbing angle and is intentionally placed underneath the window sill to simulate that the ladder was thrown for ventilation purposes or to enter and conduct a search. One of the things that is often not seen in bailout training and is vital is Mayday transmissions. Maydays need to be practiced in conjunction with bailout training. This is because bailing out from a window is a matter of life and death. Prior to any bailout, a Mayday will always and should always be transmitted. If a Mayday is not transmitted prior to bailing out of a window, then the resources that you need might not be there for you. Maydays need to include the 3 Ws at bare minimum. We use the 3 Ws here at Guardian because it simulates the most realistic situation. If a Mayday occurs inside of a building, normally there is not a lot of time for that firefighter to get out. Therefore, the 3 Ws keep it short and sweet. They define who you are, where you are, and what you need in order to get out. The number one cause of Maydays is because firefighters get lost inside of their dwellings. Due to this fact, the very first window that a firefighter comes to after calling a Mayday and being lost, he is likely to bail out of. Therefore, if the firefighter does not transmit an efficient and clear Mayday, he could find himself at a window which is not completely cleared out, with no ladder in place, and with no one below to help. The bailouts that we're going to be performing today are head-first ladder bailouts. We're performing a head-first ladder bailout because it is the most realistic situation that our firefighters find themselves in following a Mayday. Head-first ladder bailouts are done because the situation inside has went from bad to worse. Because of this, there is an extremely high percentage that a firefighter is going to escape as fast as he can. This is why we've chose the head-first ladder bailout. When performing this bailout, it is important and crucial that you take the time to understand the fundamentals and execute the proper form when coming out of the window and down the ladder. When a firefighter is exiting a structure and performing a head-first ladder bailout, often the ladder has been placed prior to that firefighter's Mayday transmission, which means that this ladder was placed for the purpose of ventilating or for entering and conducting a search. This means that the ladder is placed against the wall at an ideal climbing angle, and there is a possibility of some shards of glass or pieces of a remaining window still being intact from the firefighter either venting or entering. This is why here at Guardian Training we stress the importance of always carrying a tool when performing interior firefighting activities. Now we're going to show you the way we teach bailouts at Guardian Training. It is a multi-step process, and we will walk you through each step as we go. Step 1, initiate a Mayday transmission.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday! This is Guardian 1. I'm bailing out. Division 2, Delta side. The wind's about to flash over.
Step 2, locate the ladder tips in the window. Step 3, clear any remaining debris from around the window that you are bailing out. Step 4, stay low as you exit the window. Hook approximately the second rung with your dominant arm. Slide your other hand down the rail and grab the far side approximately at the fourth rung. Use this hand as your anchor to swing your body around. Place your thighs and your insteps on the outside of the ladder. Slightly extend your arms to keep your chest in gear away from the ladder rungs. Keep pressure on the rails as you slide to the bottom. This completes the head-first ladder bailout. A crucial step that is often skipped in a firefighter's haste to exit the window is to verify that there is a ladder in place and the tips are directly underneath the window sill. Because of the speed and weight of a firefighter's exit, a common mistake is to ride the rails and the rungs to the ground. A firefighter needs to make sure that he hooks his arm underneath the rung to control his weight and the speed of his descent. Now let's take a look at some of the details to make sure that the bailout is performed safely and correctly. It is imperative to use your dominant arm and hook under approximately the second rung. This becomes your anchor and your body's pivot point in order to swing around properly. If hand placement is improper, you could easily injure your arm or spin yourself into an uncontrolled fall. You want to make sure that you place your thighs and your insteps on the outside of the beams and squeeze. While holding pressure with your thighs and insteps, slightly extend your arms, keeping your gear and body away from the ladder. We're now going to show you a head-first ladder bailout in real time.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Guardian 1. I'm bailing out. Division 2, Delta side. The wind's about to flash over. This was a great training experience. Thank you very much.
The training is important, and the most important part of it is making sure that you have the correct safety gear in place and instructors on scene while performing it.
Definitely takes a task on your body and learning the correct positions when you're coming down the ladder.
Bailing out of a window is something that needs to become muscle memory. When you're in a live situation, it is never going to be in a controlled environment. It needs to be done instinctually and quickly. We're now going to discuss window hangs. Window hangs are done only when a ladder is not in place. The purpose of a window hang is to allow time for either the ladder to arrive, for assistance from an aerial ladder, or to allow the engine company to put a knock on the fire of the room that you are in. The most important part of a window hang is the step leading up to it, and that is the Mayday transmission. Maydays must be practiced correctly and repeatedly. This is important because the majority of Maydays occur between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m., which means a firefighter is going to be faced with darkness and heavy smoke conditions. Performing a correct window hang is imperative because conditions inside are deteriorating rapidly, and you must keep yourself below the thermal layers. Hanging outside the window allows for extra time for help to arrive to your location. When performing a correct window hang, important steps need to be followed. Step 1, transmit an appropriate mayday.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Guardian 1, Delta Side Division 2. I need a ladder immediately. I'm going to bail out. The room's about to flash over.
Step 2, stay low as you move towards the window. Step 3, make sure the window is clear before exiting. Step 4, place your dominant arm on the inside of the window, your shoulder against the windowsill, and your other arm on the outside. Follow with your leg, keeping your dominant leg on the inside as your lower body anchor. It is important to make sure that the shoulder goes directly into the corner of the windowsill. This is important because one of the common mistakes is for the majority of the upper body to go out of the window and only the hand is left on the frame. The reason that this is a problem is because frames are notorious for falling out of the window opening. When placing your upper body outside of the window, it is important to have your hand on the inner wall and not the frame. This is because the frame could easily fall out. Once his upper body is in the correct position and his hand is firmly placed against the wall, he can now move his outer leg up and over the windowsill. The firefighter now has his leg and arm placed firmly against the wall and not the window frame. This allows for proper anchor points. I think some of the most important part of this training is making sure that your arm and your leg is firmly against the wall and not the window frame, and allowing for proper anchor points.
That's exactly correct. And one of the hardest parts about that is getting your entire body out of the window. Depending on the size of the window, your body style, your body frame, it can be very difficult getting everything out of a small space.
I would think that physical fitness plays a huge part in being able to hold yourself and get out of a window.
That's a great point.
When performing a correct window hang, it's important that it is done safely and with the proper instructors. We're now going to perform the hanging drop. Just like our other scenarios, the most important step in the hang and drop is transmitting a correct mayday. The hang and drop is a last resort, and it works in conjunction with our window hang that we showed you previously. Any drop from a second floor or above is likely to result in minor to severe injury. By hanging with our arms extended, we minimize the chance of these injuries by reducing the distance of the fall by approximately 8 feet. The hanging drop is only done when the firefighter is physically exhausted from hanging in the window or conditions have gotten so bad that he must fall in order to try and survive. This is a life or death situation, and when you train on it, it is to be done in the most realistic manner possible. When I say performing a window hang and drop in a realistic fashion, what I mean is doing it in a controlled environment with safety instructors and safety lines in place. Props that are used close to the ground do not allow for the realism needed in order to perform this training correctly. So the hang and drop begins in the window hang position. Once it becomes impossible to maintain the window hang position due to fatigue or deteriorating conditions, the firefighter will move to the hang and drop position. His arms will be fully extended, his legs straight, together with a slight bend in the knee. When he drops and makes contact with the ground, he will then roll into the fetal position or to his side. When performing the hang and drop, it is important to have the proper safety officers in place and safety lines. Otherwise, it could result in serious injury. When practicing the hang and drop, proper form is crucial. Your arms need to be extended completely to reduce the distance of your fall. Your legs need to have a slight bend in the knees. This allows for the impact to be lessened. Eyes need to be facing forward. This is because wherever you're looking, your body will follow. If you do these things correctly, it will minimize your chance for severe injury. Every year, dozens of firefighters are saved by these techniques. It is important to properly train on them because when they are needed, it will involve life and death situations.